This girl has returned to her neighborhood 7 years after she mysteriously went missing, but now she calls herself the OA, the original angel. A smartphone video shows a woman running across a bridge, getting over the ledge and jumping into the water. Afterward, the woman wakes up in the hospital and immediately asks the nurse if she flatlined. The nurse says she doesn't know, but it is probably mentioned in her records. The nurse reveals that she only survived the fall from the bridge because she entered the water feet first. Otherwise, she would have shattered every bone in her body. The nurse notices strange scars on the woman's back and asks how she got them, but the woman does not answer. Finally, the nurse asks the woman her name, and she reveals that she is called the OA. The old couple of Nancy and Abel is getting ready to have breakfast when Nancy gets a call from her friend Erica, who tells her to open a link that Erica has sent her. The link is revealed to be the smartphone video from earlier, and Nancy's expression turns to shock when she sees it. Nancy and Abel arrive at the hospital, and it is revealed that they are the OA's parents. They arrive in the room, but she does not recognize them. However, when she closes her eyes and touches Nancy's face, she realizes it's her mom. Her real name is revealed to be Prairie. The nurse doesn't understand, and Abel explains that Prairie went missing 7 years ago, and back when she went missing, she was blind. Hence, she has never seen her parents' faces, only felt them. Everyone is shocked. Next, Nancy and Abel drive Prairie home and discover that the entire neighborhood has gathered to welcome her. Additionally, some news teams have arrived to cover the miraculous story of how she's back, and also how she can see now despite being blind when she went missing. Panicking, Prairie covers herself and rushes inside the house. As all the people call her Prairie, she reminds herself that this is not her name. Next, 2 policemen arrive to question Prairie about where she's been all this time. Prairie does not provide a clear answer to this. She just cryptically replies that she wasn't missing. She was present the entire 7 years. They ask her how she ended up on the bridge, and she replies that she walked for a long time and met a woman who took her to a homeless shelter, from where she walked some more, until she reached the bridge. They ask her why she jumped from the bridge, and she replies that she did it to get back to the place where she was held captive. The policemen are confused. She adds that she needed to help the other people who were stuck there. The policemen ask why she didn't call the police, and she cryptically replies that they wouldn't have been able to help. They ask if the other captives are still alive, and Prairie replies that they all died more times than she can count. The policemen decide that she is not mentally stable at the moment, and they will visit again. Next, Prairie arrives in her bedroom and looks up someone called Homer on the internet, but she doesn't remember the password to the Wi-Fi. Nancy takes her out for a walk. She asks Prairie how she got her eyesight back, and Prairie replies that she can't tell her. Meanwhile, Prairie spots 2 boys named Steve and Jesse filming stunts on top of a house. Next, Steve makes love to a girl named Jay, and after they are done, he asks her to stick around. Jay tells Steve that she only bangs him because he has a nice body, but this isn't a real thing. Understandable. It is a good body. Steve pretends he's okay with this arrangement, but after Jay leaves, it is revealed that he is frustrated. His father arrives and warns him that the school has sent him another warning for bullying. Prairie shoots a video for Homer in which she promises him that she has not abandoned him and she will find him. She reminisces all the nights she spent with him over the last 7 years. Nancy arrives and Prairie asks her for the Wi-Fi password, but Nancy says that the hospital has advised against letting Prairie use the internet and phone unmonitored. Prairie sneaks out of the house and arrives at an abandoned building, looking for someone to share their Wi-Fi password with her. It is revealed that Steve is using the abandoned building to sell drugs. Prairie arrives in the room and introduces herself as the OA again. Steve notices a camera in her hand and steals it, thinking that she's trying to get evidence against him. Prairie asks him to give it back, and when he doesn't, she tries to take it by force. Steve sets his dog on her, and after it delivers a few agonizingly painful bites, Prairie bites the dog back, after which the dog suddenly becomes calm and obedient. Everyone in the room is shocked at this spectacle. An injured Prairie takes her camera and leaves. At home, Nancy tells Prairie that she can't just sneak out like this, and Prairie reiterates that that is not her name. Nancy says she is worried because Prairie is not telling her anything about where she's been the last 7 years. Prairie replies that it would only hurt Nancy to know. At school, Steve beats up a boy because he thinks Jay has a crush on him. Afterward, Steve arrives at Prairie's house and shows her that he's brought her an internet router. She is incredibly grateful. Steve reveals that he wants something in return for this kindness. He is about to be expelled, and his dad wants to send him to a military camp, so he asks Prairie to pretend to be his stepmother and go speak to his teacher. Prairie asks that in return, he has to find her 5 brave, strong, and flexible people like him for something that she needs to do. As Prairie and Steve go shopping, Steve reveals his frustrations about Jay not liking him. Prairie insightfully points out that Steve only works on his visible self, but not his invisible self. His desires, his ambitions, etc., which is probably what Jay is looking for. While Prairie is changing, Steve notices the mysterious scars on her back. Prairie arrives at school and meets with Steve's teacher, Betty, who is hell-bent on expelling him. Prairie very insightfully points out that Betty has lost sight of her reason for becoming a teacher, which is to help children like Steve. Betty is outraged at first, but Prairie touches her hand, and Betty seems to calm down. During the conversation, Prairie keeps referring to this dimension. She says that this dimension is full of greed, pettiness, injustice, and violence, and Steve is sensitive enough to feel it, which is why he is acting out. She convinces Betty to let him stay in school because he is the one who she needs to teach and save the most. Before leaving, Betty asks for Prairie's name, and she replies that she's the OA. After this, Betty changes her attitude towards Steve. Prairie looks up Homer on the internet, and he is revealed to be a college football star who suffered a near-fatal accident on the field. His heart flatlined, and he spent a significant time in a coma before coming back. Next, Prairie asks Steve to keep his end of the bargain and bring her 5 people for her mission. However, Betty meets with Steve's father at the market, and his and Prairie's lie is caught. Steve's parents arrive to meet with Nancy and Abel, and Prairie realizes that her privileges are about to be taken away. She hurriedly makes a video titled "The OA" and uploads it on YouTube. Betty finds the video on YouTube, and some of the people who saw her fight Steve's dog find it as well. In the video, Prairie says that she needs help. She has to cross a barrier that is hard to explain, but she is certain that some people will feel something when they hear this. She invites them to meet her at an abandoned house at night and instructs them to leave their doors open before coming because they have to invite her in. Later at night, Steve is drunk, and Jay arrives to pick him up. He asks her why she doesn't like him, and she says that he is vain and a jerk. Steve gets out, opens the door of his house, and goes to see Prairie. He is joined there by Jesse, 2 other people, and to everyone's surprise, Betty. Prairie is happy to see everyone. She lights 5 candles and says that she is now going to tell them her story from the beginning. She adds that at one point they will all understand why they are here, but till then, they have to close their eyes and imagine the story from her perspective. All 5 people are hesitant, but they agree. Prairie narrates that she was born in Russia in 1987, and Steve immediately laughs at this, but she reminds him to close his eyes. She explains that she was the daughter of a wealthy Russian businessman, and her real name was Nina. She would often have incredibly vivid dreams of being trapped in an aquarium, and she would always wake up from those dreams with her nose bleeding. To help her overcome her fear, her father takes her to a frozen lake and makes her get inside the ice-cold water. After this, the dreams stop. One day, Nina gets on a bus to school with the children of all the other wealthy businessmen, and the bus meets an accident over a bridge and ends up in a lake. Nina tries to swim out to the surface but fails to do so. In the present, Prairie reveals that she died that day, and everyone is confused. Next, Nina wakes up in a strange dimension, where a mysterious woman asks her if she wants to stay or go back. She advises Nina to stay, but Nina chooses to go back. The woman accepts, but says that she is going to take Nina's eyes away because she does not want her to see the horrors that lie ahead. Nina wakes up on the beach in her father's arms and reveals that she can't see anything. Next, Nina's father sends her to America to keep her safe, because the bus accident was actually a threat from an organization called The Voix. Nina lives in a boarding school for the blind, and her aunt comes to check on her from time to time. On Sundays, Nina talks to her father on the phone. He tells her to not speak Russian while she's there because no one can know who she is. She then plays the violin for him. One day, Nina's aunt comes to see her, and she reveals that Nina's father has died in an accident. With her father no longer sending money, Nina can't continue living at the boarding school, and she starts living with her aunt who runs a brothel. It is a cold and terrible place. The brothel also sells people the babies born there, and one day, Nancy and Abel arrive to buy a baby because they are too old to have one of their own, or legally adopt. The baby they are looking to adopt is a newborn, but while they are there, Nancy runs into Nina, who is looking after the newborn. Nancy realizes that this is no place for a special needs child, and she says that she wants to buy Nina instead. Nina's aunt agrees because Nancy and Abel will clearly be able to provide much better for her. However, she makes it clear that no one can know who she really is. Nancy says that she will change Nina's name. She points out that Nina's eyes are as blue as the prairie sky, and hence, she decides to name her Prairie. Prairie begins living with Abel and Nancy, and they provide her with a loving and caring environment. However, at night, Prairie sleepwalks while speaking Russian. They take her to a psychologist, who says that Prairie believes her father is trying to send her messages in her dreams, and also that her dreams are actually premonitions of the future. Nancy says that kids make things up all the time, but the psychologist says that Prairie has psychosis and must be medicated. Nancy and Abel proceed to medicate Prairie for the next 13 years of her life, and while she feels numb inside, her premonitions do not stop. She has dreams that show her father holding 21 candles and the face of a giantess in water. She thinks it means that her father will meet her at the Statue of Liberty on her 21st birthday and sneaks out of her home to go there. However, after spending the whole day on the island, she does not find him. Eventually, she decides to play her violin at the subway until her father hears it getting off a train. In the present, the sun rises, and Prairie sends everyone home to continue this tomorrow. The entire day, all 5 individuals look up Nina on the internet to verify the story. They find proof for the bus accident on the exact day and place that Prairie mentioned, but nothing else. The boy named French abstains from indulging in this anymore, as he has a scholarship and being caught in this situation could reflect poorly on his character report. He desperately needs the scholarship to escape his terrible household run by his drug-addict mother. However, the boy named Buck convinces him that perhaps Prairie chose broken people like them for a reason. Perhaps she is trying to help them. The next night, Prairie continues her story. As she plays the violin in the subway, the sound attracts a man named Hap all the way from the other side of the station. Hap asks Prairie if she could always play this well, or something happened to her. She asks what he means, and he asks her if she's had a near-death experience. Has she died and come back? Prairie is shocked at how he knows this, and he reveals that this isn't the first time he's seen this phenomenon. He takes Prairie to dinner, and reveals that he is a doctor who is obsessed with learning what happens after death. Where does consciousness go? He tells her a story of how he saw someone have a near-death experience, and he heard the sound of something leaving their body, and then coming back. Since then, he has been engaged in researching people who have near-death experiences, and it seems that they always come back possessing some special skill. In Prairie's case, her violin playing. He charms Prairie by telling her how interesting he finds her and that she should have never been treated as a psycho. Impressed, Prairie says that she wants him to study her. She agrees to fly with him to his laboratory. Hap brings Prairie to a house somewhere unknown, and he treats her very nicely. He then says he'll take her to her bedroom to get some rest. But as she sits down on the bed, she hears him lock the door from the outside and realizes that she is in a cage. Prairie begins to panic, realizing that she has made a grave mistake. Amidst her panic attack, she hears a voice that helps her calm down. The voice is revealed to be Homer. The OA is 2016 American mystery drama TV series, which ran for 2 seasons till 2019. The series received overwhelmingly positive response from fans and critics alike, who applauded the show for brilliantly mixing its science fiction, supernatural, fantasy, and drama elements. Despite the positive reviews, the show was canceled after just 2 seasons, prompting fans of the show to go to great lengths to try and revive it, with one fan even going on a hunger strike for it. Despite this, at present, there is no clear indication of the show getting picked up for a 3rd season. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like our channel and subscribe if you enjoy content like this. Also, let us know what movie you would love us to recap for you.